It's time for dinner.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
From the creative mind of Scott Bertelson, after 4 decades of teaching our impressionable youth,
The dinner bell.
you are invited to enjoy conversational morsels for the mind at Mr. B's dinner party.
Yeah, dinner.
Well, hello. Guess who it is? No, it's not President Trump. No, it's not the Pope. And no, it is not Barbara Streisand. I know we have the same vocal quality. Anyway, yes, it is Mr. B, and it's time for Mr. B's dinner party. Oh my goodness, how I've missed you all. I'm back at the microphone to offer little tidbits of what I would hope would be intellectual morsels of entertainment. That's quite a mouthful. So sit back or not, or go walking, or clean the garage, or clean the car. My gosh, I know it needs it. Or prepare your supper, or if it's the middle of the night and you can't sleep, then listen to the podcast, because I've got things to tell you. So welcome, everybody, and let's dive in.
And now, School Days with Mr. B.
I thought today that I would pay homage to some of the teachers who have made a tremendous difference in my life. I knew very early on, actually, I was a junior in high school, when I decided at that time I was going to be a teacher, and I never deviated from that. I always wanted to be a teacher, an educator. And I'm so grateful to my higher power that that is the area that I could have success with. And I've had wonderful years in the public classroom, coached wonderful extracurricular activities, and now still get to have the opportunity to be with young people in a substitute teacher position. But, I don't think I would have maybe chosen teaching without the following people I'm going to mention, because they showed me that teaching can be fun, teaching is worthwhile, and teaching can have a tremendous impact on a young person, not only academically, but socially. So, without further ado, here is my top list of candidates for teachers who have inspired Mr. Bertelson. Not necessarily in any order. There would be Miss Klusmeyer, who's no longer with us, who taught high school English at Sheffield Chapin Community Schools. I think she taught there since the Stone Age. Anyway, I mean that with all lovingness. Miss Klusmeyer was a taskmaster. And I can very readily tell you that when I became a junior in high school, and she was our junior English teacher, which was mandatory for all juniors, that she ran a tight ship. And Miss Klusmeyer helped me appreciate and learn the basic rules of grammar. And I know that many people don't like to hear the word grammar or want anything to do with it, or what's the point of knowing the difference between good and well and through and through and through. What's the difference? There is a difference, and it reflects your intellectual endeavors, and it represents your talent as a person to know the difference. And she made it very clear to us that we had to have mastery of English grammar in order for us to pass her class. And so not only did we respect her for her belief in what she was teaching, but we also respected the fact that you would always toe the line, so to speak, in class. There was no time for tomfoolery in there. Oh, no, 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 no. Now, of course, remember, my loved ones, this is way before the cell phone era, which could be changing in the state of Iowa and public schools. We'll have to see how that goes in the future weeks. Anyway, that's another story. So, Ms. Klusmeyer then also taught an elective for seniors, a writing class where it was writing essays. And once again, in this class, she was a task master and made us write. And it had to be done exactly according to the plan of whatever the assignment was. And you would do it until you got it right. And I guess that's the same philosophy that I adopted when I was a high school English teacher, language arts, whatever term you want to use, that I always believed that students had the right to rewrite something to get it to a better level, make it more understandable, make it something that they can be proud of, and really understand the power of revision. That was always my motto: revise, revise, revise. And there might be some of you who are rolling your eyes if you're listening, if you had me in class, and you might say, oh, yes. My goodness, how many times did I have to change that sentence? How many times did I have to change that word choice? How many times did I have to rearrange my sentences in a paragraph or rearrange my paragraph in an essay, whatever it would be? But the end product was worth it, And that was her same philosophy. So I want to thank Ms. Klusmeyer in the great English classroom in the sky that she instilled that in me. Also, when I co-directed musicals at Forest City High School for 35 years, for a large share of those musicals, she would always be there. And it was always fun to visit with her, and I could really tell that she was proud of what I had done, that she probably felt that she was, to a certain degree, responsible for what I had evolved into as a teacher. Next on my list would be Steve Spur, Mr. Steve Spur, who I believe is still alive and lives in Mason City. I haven't seen him in years. He was the type of teacher that after I graduated from high school and I was attending NIAC, I would stop and visit him about once a month at his home. He was made me feel very welcome to come and visit with him, and then we became fast friends. Steve Spur taught high school social studies, but he was way more than just a social studies teacher. He was a mentor. He was a counselor. Not a friend. I'm not looking for a friend in a teacher, nor do I look for that as I was a teacher. I always said, I can't be your friend. That's not what this is about. And he made geography and the studies of Latin America and American history exciting. And he reminded me so much of Bob Newhart, for anybody who might be familiar with that classic comedian. One of my favorite shows, one that I've reviewed on this show, is the Bob Newhart Show, one of my favorite shows of all time. And that he had that dry humor that reminded me of Bob Newhart. And he would let you be successful in the classroom, and he never seemed to raise his voice ever. And he simply went with the flow. And that calm quality is something that I try to put into my teaching. Not that I wasn't a crazy nutball at times in the classroom. I was. But he made it so clear that you don't react to what a student is doing. You try to find out why they're doing it and then try to figure that out. And then that's a better approach than being reactive and yelling and screaming or throwing kids against the lockers or anything like that, which I never did in my life. So thank you, Steve Spur. Then I had Miss Hannah Walt in 6th grade. Mrs. Hannah Walt. And after I graduated from 6th grade, and she has passed on also, would write letters to her, and she would write back. I consider her like a grandmother figure. I was very drawn to her personality. She had a really good rapport with 6th grade students. That's a very awkward age. Of course, being 66 is an awkward age, but that's another podcast. Anyway, so Mrs. Hannah Walt always loved the underdog. And I think that's one of the best things I learned from her, because I always felt like I had, as a teacher, a great appreciation and love for underdogs in the classroom or in extracurricular events, because I was an underdog. I wasn't necessarily, I was a very chubby child. I was picked on for that. I had a lot of friends, don't get me wrong, but the middle school years were really, really, really hard. And she was a person you could always go to for emotional support, and she would make you realize that you are a very valid person. And so I thank her for that. And finally, I'm going to give a shout out to Sandy Batalden. Sandy Batalden, who, by the way, is traveling the world. I think she was just in India recently, I saw on Facebook, and very active for her age. Sandy Batalden taught high school English also at Sheffield Chapin High School, and she was also the coach for the speech team, and that's when I became involved with speech. And we had a very, very small team, but it was a very powerful team. And we didn't do large group, but we did do individual. And Sandy Batalden was always encouraging, always hardworking, always looking out for you, always giving you the chance to be successful in class. And I remember that she had a wide variety of teaching techniques that even in all the years that I taught, I used. And I remember we read Romeo and Juliet, and her love for that Shakespearean play was quite evident in her teaching. And so I thank her. Now, there are a plethora, there's the word plethora, I can't have a podcast without plethora, of other teachers who have impacted my life over the years. And I thank them all, and I appreciate them all. And there is no, and I know I've said this before, but there's no better gig than being an educator. And it goes way past knowing your content. Yes, of course, that's crucially important. But you have to be motivating. You have to be able to sell your product to the consumer, and that would be the students. And that's where the real strength comes in as an educator. Can you do that? So to all teachers out there who've had an impact on me, I salute you. I thank you. And you will always be remembered.
Don't you forget this.
Let's have a seat round the proverbial table
Would you like to say grace?
with a nod to our higher power and Mr. B's spiritual journey.
For my spiritual journey, friends, I am going to do a sequel to a few weeks ago when I read some of the messages, memes, if that's the right term, that had been sent to me by overeaters on my phone that I receive almost daily and help me stay sober, that is, free of my poisonous foods, my alcoholic foods. And I look forward to these messages every single day. And the first one I'm going to read is, I just recently received this, and I absolutely adore it. And it goes like this: life is like a camera. Focus on what matters the most. Capture what makes you happy. Develop from the negatives. And if things don't work out, you can always take another shot. Oh my gosh. I'm going to use that camera image throughout the rest of my life. Focus on what matters. Capture what makes you happy. Develop from the negative. If it doesn't work out, take another shot. Wow, wow, wow. And here is another one. Short, but very fun. Sometimes the grass is greener because it's fake. Yes, I'm going to repeat that. Sometimes the grass is greener because it's fake. So we have to find out in our lives what is real, what isn't real. We do this on a daily basis. I know my disease is real. I know my disease will never disappear. And I know that I'm only a work in progress. I'm never going to reach the finish line, except in death. And so I need to constantly keep going and realize that I have to look at something for the way it really truly is. So you may have heard the old expression, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. So I also have learned to adopt that statement in my life. So anyway, wanted to mention that one. Okay. And here's one. Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Oh, my goodness. Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. So that, to me, means that friendships feel like sunshine and fresh air. You can turn to a friend and just realize that person, certain people can just touch your soul and make you feel good, and you love being in their presence. And I don't think it really matters how many of these friends you have. I think it depends on the quality and the nourishment that you receive from these people. So if you have even one person in your life who fulfills that role, how lucky you are. How lucky you are. Let's go on to another one, shall we? And it goes like this. Tomorrow is never promised. So today, I want all my friends and family to know how thankful I am that all of you are in my life. One of the beliefs for my program is that I have the next 24 hours. Only that. Maybe not even that. Depends on when my higher power wants to take me back home, which none of us know. But I don't want to leave ever with regrets. Have I told my boys that I love them? Have I told my relatives that I love them? Have I told myself that I love myself? Have I told my friends that I love them? Have I showed appreciation to all the people who are in my life that have helped mold and shape me to be the person that I am right now today? Don't ever lose sight of that. It doesn't take long to send a text or call somebody or see somebody in person and tell them how much you appreciate them. It doesn't take much. Do it. Take the opportunity. Then I have a prayer. This is a 12-step prayer. I have gone into detail with you, my great audience, over the last few weeks during my time here of the 12 steps that have helped keep me clean and have shifted my way of living as a person. I feel very blessed to have these 12 steps every day. Here's one you can say on a daily basis. Dear God, my spiritual awakening continues to unfold. The help I have received I shall pass on and give to others, both inside and outside of the fellowship. For this opportunity I am eternally grateful. I pray most humbly to continue walking day by day on the road of spiritual progress. I pray for the inner strength and wisdom to practice the principles of this way of life in all I do and say. I need you and the program every hour of every day as I live your way of life one day at a time. Amen. This is a great prayer to say to make you realize what you need to do with what you've learned about your disease and to practice the principles every day and share it with other people and walk every day on the road of spiritual progress. Progress, not perfection. It is so important to do that. So important to do that. And the last one I'm going to share today is probably my favorite that I have received for quite some time from my friend. Every day I look forward to a text from this one person in particular who has the same addiction that I have to what kind of message she's going to send me. This is called You. If every single person who has liked you in your lifetime were to light up on a map, it would create the most glittering, beautiful network you could imagine. Throw in the strangers you've been kind to, the people you've made laugh or inspired along the way, and that star-bright network of yours would be an impressive sight to behold. You're so much more than you think you are. You have done so much more than you realize. You're trailing a bright pathway that you don't even know about. What a thing. What a thing indeed. And this is from a person named Donna Ashworth. What an affirmation of the power that we have over other people when we least expect it. Case in point, I was in Clear Lake a couple days ago at the Quick Star, going in the door, and this young person, probably a middle schooler, says, excuse me, are you Mr. Bertelson? I said, well, last time I checked, yes. Couldn't give a straight answer. And she said, oh, you subbed in my classroom at Clear Lake. Of course, I was not aware of that. I didn't remember. And she said, you also have a podcast, don't you? I said, yes, I do. And she said, oh, I listened to it. Now, I walked into that Quick Star and out of that Quick Star, walking on cloud nine, because I had evidently made an impression on this young woman, this young girl who would say something to me in the entryway to a convenience store. It was amazing. And we all have that connection. We all light up other people's lives all the time. So don't ever think that you are not valid or that you're not worthwhile, because you are. You really are. So, my friends, as we continue down the spiritual path, and for me, realizing that I have a disease, a food addiction, I'm grateful for that food addiction because it has brought me to a way of life that I had never experienced for many, 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 many years as I lived in slavery to the food. And now those shackles have been taken off and I'm free, but only because of my higher power who has taken my illness and turned it into a story of love.
For the next course, come one, come all. Nothing spoiled here. From comfort classics to what's hot now. Film reviews from Mr. B's Rewatchables.
My friends, for my rewatchable, I have chosen a movie that I have seen numerous times. I usually watch it on Turner Classic Movies. You probably could find it on some streaming service, or you could buy the DVD, I'm sure. It came out in 1976. Ho ho! 76, a year before I graduated from high school. But I remember seeing this when I was in high school, and I was blown away. And it's called Network. And it's an American satirical black comedy drama. There's a mouthful. Directed by another one of my favorite directors, Sidney Lumet. And the screenplay was written by Patty Tchaikovsky, and one of the great screenwriters of the 70s and the 80s. And it's about a fictional television network, and it has terribly bad ratings, and what extent that they will go to bring up the ratings. The film stars one of my favorite actresses. She's still alive, Faye Dunaway. She won the Academy Award for this film, Best Actress. William Holden, Peter Finch, who also won the Academy Award. This was his final film role. He was unfortunately dead by the time he won the Academy Award. Robert Duvall, Ned Beatty, and Beatrice Straight. When the first movie, when it came out, it was a commercial success. It earned $23 million on a $3.8 million production budget. It has been considered to be one of the greatest films ever made. I truly concur with that. It received great critical acclaim, not only for the screenplay, but for the performances. At the 49th Annual Academy Awards, it received 10 nominations, including Best Picture, and it did win 4. A couple of these are already mentioned. Best Actor for Peter Finch, Best Actress for Faye Dunaway, Best Supporting Actress for Beatrice Straight, and Best Original Screenplay for Tchaikovsky. It is or was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. And the story is absolutely insane. Let me give you a little taste. There is a newscaster named Howard Beale, played by Peter Finch, who's an anchor for the station UBS, and they have the UBS Evening News. Well, anyway, his ratings have been going down. We know it's all about ratings with television programs. Ratings. And he's been told that he has just 2 more weeks on the air because he's doing a poor job. Well, anyway, the next night he goes on to the news and announces that he's going to kill himself on the next Tuesday's newscast. Anyway, UBS tries to fire him, but Beale promises to apologize for the outburst. But once he's on the air, he launches into a rant about life being, may we say, unfair. And this is the classic scene where he tells everybody to stand up, go to the windows, put the windows up, and say, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
And everybody who's watching the news that night throughout the country starts ranting this phrase, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, anyway, when that happens, excuse me, his ratings go up. And so they decide that they're going to keep him on the air, but not in a traditional news role, but make him do an angry man format where he would ridicule and criticize some issue that he feels strongly about. Now, what has happened in the meantime is that Howard Beale has gone completely 100% stark raving mad. And so he doesn't live in a world of reality. And I think the station is very aware of this, and they're just capitalizing on this because people like to hear people ranting and raving and acting like a lunatic on the news. And so he gets a program called The Howard Beale Show, and he's known as the Mad Prophet of the Airwaves. It becomes the most highly rated program on television, so this station is now really making the bucks, and the ratings are going up. So, with that being said, Faye Dunaway, who is in charge of programming there, decides that they're going to bring in lots of different programming ideas that no other station would be doing. Now, keep in mind, this was before cable, this was before streaming, and so you probably only had 3 or 4 major channels. She was going to make a docudrama called the Mao Zedong Hour, which would be showing footage of the Ecumenical Liberation Army, which is the far cry from the Carol Burnett show. They were going to be doing other programs where they would be attacking religious ideas. And so they were riding the crest of success. But unfortunately, Howard Beale, people were getting tired of listening to his rants and raves. And they decide, and I'm missing a lot of this information, or I'm not sharing it with you, that they had to get rid of Howard Beale and find somebody else because he was not bringing people in to listen.
We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
So I know I'm giving it away, It's a spoiler. Spoiler alert. Wow. Spoiler alert. But they decide, the brass at the station, that they would have Howard Beale killed. Yes, that's what I said. Killed on the air. That would be the only way that they could get rid of him. And so they brought somebody in. They had a studio audience for his show. And he comes out one night and he is shot and killed. And the very last line that you hear of the movie is this. This was the story of Howard Beale, the first known instance of a man who was killed because he had lousy ratings. This film is outrageous. This film is beautifully acted. This film really goes into great detail what it's like behind the scenes at a station where greed and greed and greed are the only things that keep people happy. If they can bring in more money, more money, more money, let's keep the ratings up. They would go to any extent. Now remember, this is a satire, so it is an exaggeration, to bring people to watch their shows. And in the meantime, these behind-the-scenes people, producers, directors, are losing their souls and don't know who they are anymore. It's a scathing attack on why there's so much more to TV than ratings. Now, I know that ratings bring more money to the stations if they have high ratings. I get that. But this film is saying that there is much more. Let's look at the quality of the material, not necessarily the rating. Now, will this change? Has it changed ratings with any kind of TV program since the movie was made? No, I don't think it has. But the writer of this film wanted to make it abundantly clear that being involved with TV news was a scandalous project. And we have now so many news stations. We have left, we have right, we have independent, we have 24-hour. At this time, they did not have that in 1976. And so there's a constant battle now going on with newscasters. How can they outdo each other? How can they get the ratings? Is there now a sugarcoating of the news? Is there too much bias in the news? Are we getting the information that we really need? Who's making that decision as to what the consumer gets from the news? These are all questions that come from the film network. So, if you like satire, if you like strong performances, if you want to see a movie that will take you places that you never thought you would go, then Network is a film for you. I highly recommend it. And Peter Finch, as Howard Beale, 100% earned the Academy Award for Best Actor for his portrayal of Howard Beale. Absolutely tremendous. Please see Network.
And now for a special treat. Poetry with Mr. B.
Folks, for something completely different, thank you, Monty Python, for letting me borrow that. I'm going to share some more poetry. This is not original poetry. This is poetry by one of my favorite poets, along with Robert Frost, William Wordsworth. And I'm going to share my rendition of some of these poems. I'm not going to analyze them. You can take from it whatever you want. But they all speak to me in some way. The first one is called I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at once, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a joyful company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when I'm on my couch, I lie in vacant or in a pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. The next poem is called The World is Too Much With Us. I said I wasn't going to make any kind of commentary, but I feel this is very, very applicable to our world today, where I think we lose sight of what's really important and sometimes spend too much time on frivolous, non-important items. The world is too much with us. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn, so might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make us less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Next, I'd like to share a short but highly inspiring poem, My Heart Leaps Up. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began, so is it now. I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old, or let me die. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. My final William Wordsworth poem is The Sun Has Long Been Set. The sun has long been set, the stars are out by twos and threes, the little birds are piping yet among the bushes and the trees. There's a cuckoo and one or two thrushes, and a far-off wind that rushes, and the sound of water that gushes, and the cuckoo's sovereign cry fills all the hollow of the sky. Who would go parading in London and masquerading on such a night of June with that beautiful soft half moon and all these innocent blisses. Oh, on such a night as this is. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope that until we meet again, you have enjoyed the meal at Mr. B's dinner party. I can't think of a much more exciting person that I would like to invite than you. And I hope you'll keep coming back to the table. You don't have to bring anything with you. It's all prepared. You just have to find your place at the table, sit down, enjoy, and open up your heart and your mind. I look forward to seeing you soon, my friends. Take care.
Mr. B's Dinner Party is hosted by Scott Bertelson, edited and produced by Troy Thompson, recorded and distributed at Sunnyside Farm Studios. Music is provided by Soundstripe and platformed by Buzzsprout. Like our page on Facebook, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends. Listen and enjoy every other Wednesday, Conversational Morsels for the Mind, on Mr. B's Dinner Party.